Hey friends, welcome back. Today we are making another formula from Fraterworks. This one is for Miss Dior Blooming Bouquet. This is a fragrance that was released in 2014. I believe the perfumer was Louise Turner. Can confirm that. Assuming Fragrantica has this correct. Now, I have not smelled this before, but I do have a sample here. I purchased this from the Fragrance Decant Boutique. Not affiliated with them, but decantboutique.com. They're fantastic. If you live in the States, I don't know what their global shipping is like, but at least if you're in the States, if you haven't discovered them, such a great way to try fragrances in little amounts without having to commit to a full bottle. And if you like it, you can buy a full bottle. I purchased a lot from them just to test reference fragrances. Sometimes it's to compare it against formulas that I have here or I've gotten through creative formulas, etc., etc. Other times I will use these little samples as reference formulas to fragrances that I am creating. In the same way that musicians and producers will use something called a reference track, and they will use that reference track to compare the music they're creating to say, hey, does my bass match? I want my bass to sound like this. Does that match? I want my the space and openness to match this particular track. And that's a little trick in music, is to use a reference track to to adjust your own sound. So I'll sometimes use these as reference tracks, so to speak, to see if I'm getting the right floral pop, if I'm getting the right musky base that I want, and I'll compare against a few fragrances. But in any case, today we're making about 100 mils. It'll be just over 82 grams. The end concentrate will be about 15%. One thing Fraterworks doesn't do in their service to the community with providing these demo formulas is provide guidelines for what the end concentrate should be. It is one thing I really appreciate with Felipe in creative formulas is there is a guideline for what the end concentrate should be for the juice that you're creating. But with a little research, I learned Miss Dior Blooming Bouquet is an eau de toilette. It's classified as an eau de toilette. Now I'm inclined to do, say, a 12% concentrate, but whatever. We're going to do 15. We're going to do 15. Per usual, well, maybe not per usual, because I'm a little hesitant to do giveaways given the ridiculous fraud, that went around 6 months ago. But today we will do a giveaway. I'm going to make 100 mils, 50 for you, 50 for me, because hey, maybe I'll wear this too. So let's get this started. Per usual, we're going to start with our base, but before we do that, I'm going to add a bunch of solvent. I'm going to add a bunch of Perfumer's alcohol. I'm going to even add the Soul Guard, just to get started. So first off, oh, you know what? Let me get some gloves. Okay. You all are so concerned about my safety. I really appreciate it. So if it wasn't for your worry, I would probably continue to forget wearing gloves as I put these together. All right. Let's start with our ethanol. I wonder if I have enough. Yeah, I've got enough ethanol in here. Also, let me make sure I have enough space. This scale is a 200 gram max scale with 0.001 grams of precision. This 100 milliliter beaker weighs 51 grams. Great. I'm making 82 grams. 82 plus 51 is less than 200, so I know that I'm not gonna lose out on materials. Where I get into trouble is if I'm making 100 mils, but I ran out of these beakers and I have to use a 250 milliliter beaker. Well, That 250 milliliter beaker weighs 117 grams, so sometimes I'm cutting it pretty close. Anyway, we're going to be fine here. Let's tear. Let's pour. I need just under 60 grams of ethanol. All right, so we got 60 grams. I'm a half a gram over, but that's fine. That will not be a big deal. Next up, let's do our Soul Guard. Now, don't feel like you have to use Soul Guard. This helps if you are putting it in a clear bottle and you want to use, to get some sunscreen, some UV protection in here. It's also got a little BHT, some antioxidants. So it helps extend the longevity of the fragrance. But if you just have BHT, just use some BHT. If you're not so serious of a perfumer where you don't yet have BHT, don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. Just do your best to keep your fragrance in a cool, dark place. Store it away from the sunshine, away from the heat. Don't keep it in your car. Don't leave it outside in the sun, that kind of stuff. Okay, so before we push forward, let's look at the structure of this fragrance. This is heavy in the jasmine, Muguet notes. Muguet is French for lily of the valley, so if I say Muguet, just pretend I'm speaking fluent French. Lily of the valley, heavy. Now, a lot of that's probably going to be Hedione. Let's see. Almost 30% is in Hedione. Another almost 11% is in high cis Hedione. Specifically, the formula produced by Fraterworks calls for, I believe, the Paradise molecule. It's a proprietary product that Fraterworks produces that is supposed to mimic I think it's a Givaudan product. It's a captive molecule called Paradisone. And it's supposedly, as I've heard, just Hedione, but on crack. Absolutely powerhouse Hedione. I've not smelled either, which is a shame because I do have a small sample of the Paradise molecule right over here. I haven't tried it yet. So I guess I could use the Paradise molecule, but today I'm just going to sub out with some Hedione high cis. And in this case, it's a generic methyl dihydrojasmonate HC extra. In any case, lots of that stuff, so about 30%. No, almost 40% of the fragrance is in Hedione. So blooming bouquet, yeah, that's probably why it's blooming. We've got an overdose of Hedione. We've also got a recently released captive molecule called Nympheal. This was, I suppose, discovered or designed to be a replacer for Lilial and Lyral. This fragrance also has Lyral in it, but Nympheal is an absolute powerhouse lily of the valley aldehyde. It is so strong, you gotta dilute it. I'm really interested to see where the industry takes this molecule or continues to take the molecule. It's extremely powerful. Much of the rest of the formula we have in musk and animalic notes, some red, a little bit of florals to help help the bouquet for the blooming bouquet. We've got some rose notes, some violet notes, and then some green notes and citrus. So, and a couple ozonic notes. So I'm pretty excited. So per usual, we're going to start with our musks, our animalic notes. We have 2 and a little patchouli. So why don't we start with the musks? We're going to start with ambretolide. So we've got neat ambretolide, 0.225 grams. So I won't need much in here. That should be enough. Yeah, close enough. And we are off to the races. Okay, next up, ethylene brassylate. Now, almost 20% of this formula is ethylene brassylate. Standard workhorse musk, very neutral, clean, it's warm. It provides a beautiful base. All right. I still love watching it be dropped into the ethanol. I love how just the look of it. It looks so cool. Okay, we need a little bit more. All right, we are good. Next up, I'm using Galaxolide. The formula calls for a product, again, a proprietary product from Fraterworks called Aerolide. Aerolide looks to be like a white musk blend, or at least a musk blend that is heavy on white musks, but a diversified musk portfolio coming from the finance guy. It's a diversified musk. I don't have Aerolide, and candidly, I'm not sure I have an interest in purchasing it. I would like to, make this true, but Aerolide is only 4 parts per 1,000 in the blend, and it's a musk. So I think I can get away with Galaxolide. Specifically, I'll be using Galaxolide 50. I'm just looking for a neutral, something neutral. If I wanted to be more adventurous, I probably could have used Velvione, Celestalide. I could have used something else. How much do we need? 0.1 grams at 50%. Okay. Great. We're good. Next. Okay, let's add our muscanone. We've got muscanone delta. 0.075 grams. This is just going to be a nice, very nice, elegant animalic note. Again, 0.075 grams neat. Love how this smells. Ooh, it's popping today. I don't know about you, but my nose goes through phases. Oh, need one more drop. Gladly. My nose goes through phases of what's the word? Sometimes things just pop out at my nose. Some days they pop out, other days they don't. And I can't quite put my finger on why. Sometimes musks are just extra strong. I can pick out the nuances, and other days I can't. So, next up, we have a proprietary product from Fraterworks. This is Ambrexol. Ambrexol is a replacement for Fixodor 404, which is no longer produced. You can find Fixodor 505. Let's get some details on this. Firmenich makes it. It's a beautiful blend that is kind of like an ambergris. You could call it like an ambergris replacer. Smelling, I have Fixodor 505, and Fixodor 404 is much more animalic. If you don't have this, if you don't have Fixodor 404 or Ambrexol, you can use Fixodor 505. I think that will be fine. If you don't have Fixodor 505, you could probably get away with ambergris tea Olfac, another dirty ambergris molecule. If you don't have any of that, I will give you 2 more suggestions. If you have Ambronol, try a little Ambronol at, 10%. You could use some Ambronol. That is it would be much more dirty, so it'd probably be appropriate to dial back your exposure. But that might work. And if you don't have any of that, I'd say just swap it out for a deer musk. You will change, I think you would change the nuance of the fragrance, but you would get that dirtiness and that animalic quality, that would be a little bit more adventurous using a deer musk, because there would be differences. But still, I'm not certain you would ruin things. It smells good. I'm using this neat. We've got 0.112 grams. Yeah. Yeah. This stuff smells good. Not gonna lie. I think Fraterworks did a good job. I've not smelled Fixator 404, though I think I have a formula for it. Let's see. Where did I find this? Nah. I don't know. I've got a Fixator 404 replacer, supposedly from Perfume Archaeology, but I don't know. I'm looking at the formula here, and I do not see that animalic note, that really animalic note that is very apparent in this replacer. So maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have a replacer or a formula. Okay. Next, we're going to do 2 more, simply because this is most of the formula. So why not add it right now? We're going to add both of the hediones. We've got normal hedione and high cis hedione. Again, I'm not using the what if I just do this? What if I just find this paradise molecule? I'm going to do it. We're going to do it today. Oh, it's got a little thing on it. Okay, I'm going to use this. Yeah. Let's put it on a blotter. See if we can notice any differences between this and Hedione HC. We'll let those dry. Let's start with the paradise molecule. So let me do the quick math on this. Change. Okay, we need 1.313 grams of this. It's a fair bit. The unfortunate part about Hedione is that I can smell the effect it has on a blend much better than I can smell it itself. Flying solo Hedione, it smells like Hedione. I don't know. It's light. It kind of fills the air, but the effect it has on a blend is extremely noticeable. It's more impactful in a blend than it is on its own. So here we have quote unquote normal Hedione. I'm using Hedione 50 because, I use this a lot. I open up the bottle a lot, expose it to air. So I put some BHT in it, and I need 6.876 grams. Okay, overdid it by a couple hundredths of a gram, no biggie. Okay, let's do a quick spot check of our materials here. Paradise molecule, Hedione HC. Let's do the reference Hedione HC. Yeah, it's light. It's light, but it's rich. It's a little oily. It's green. All within the context of Jasmine and Lily of the Valley. Let's try to smell the paradise molecule. Yeah, it smells roughly the same to me. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how it does in the blend. We'll see how it does, and I'll give this a little bit more time. Okay, I think that's it for our start. So let me blend this up a little bit. We're gonna dip a fair few times today. All right, let's dip. And I will write number 1. This is our base. All right, we'll drop that there. Next up, where should we go? Well, you know me, I like doing the floral core. And in this case, we are going to include a special, are we going to do that? Come on, Ryan. Come on. Yeah, we're going to add it. Okay. Let's do our floral core. I'm going to add some sweet notes, some fruity sweet notes in this floral core because what I'm looking for is just the heart of the fragrance. I want to see what the heart of the fragrance is like. The florals are going to give us that. Now, let's stick with first the Lily of the Valley, the Jasmine florals, what I typically call the white florals, not the narcotic florals, but the white florals. Usually I like to start with the red florals because the addition that those make are usually quite noticeable. And then I like to see how the Jasmine Lily of the Valley affects the rosy florals that are underneath it. But in this case, I've already got a bunch of Hedione in here. Let's stack that. Let's see what kind of effect that we get just with floral, hexyl cinnamaldehyde, benzyl acetate, so on and so forth. So let's start, we'll go in alphabetical order. We're going to start with the benzyl salicylate. I have this classified as a balsamic note. At least that's how I have it organized. I have it organized as a balsamic note. However, this works really well in jasmine accords. 0.875 grams at 10%. What I love about salicylates is that you can add a lot of it, and it can change the nature of a fragrance, but in a way that doesn't necessarily ruin it. It changes the personality. It can really move it in a different direction, but it won't necessarily ruin your I'm in finance mode. Ruin your portfolio. It won't ruin your fragrance. Whereas, you add birch tar, yeah, it's going to change the character, but you add too much and it's going to ruin. You can't just put on birch tar. It smells terrible. But with benzyl salicylate, it's a little more gentle. Definitely more gentle. Let's move on to benzyl acetate. Very jasmine-y. Of course, we're missing the lightness, the indolic quality of jasmine, but still, it's very jasmine. 0.625 grams at 10%. Great. Close enough. And let's keep trucking. Next up, floral. Floral is a great, a wonderful base material for Muguet, Lily of the Valley. Ooh, we need a lot. 1.5 grams of floral neat. And one thing I've noticed about some fragrances, they will use just as much floral as they are using, say, Galaxolide or Isoe Super. Floral can be one of those clouds that Sarah McCartney calls them. It can be a cloud where it fills in the space, it provides body. It's there to help connect the dots, but it doesn't. You can't ruin your portfolio. You can't ruin your fragrance with it. Just like Isoe Super, you can change it. You can change your fragrance, but you can't really ruin ruin it. You can't make it smell bad by adding ISO-E Super. You might tone down the projection, you might change other aspects of it, but you're not going to make it go from a good smelling fragrance to bad. Next. Ooh, Lyral. Did I get Lyral? I did get Lyral. Good. Okay. Hexyl cinnamaldehyde. Yeah, this one's a little bit stronger. I definitely get the aldehyde aspect in hexyl cinnamaldehyde. 0.15 grams neat. Oh, where did that one? Come on back. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. Next, Lyral. Neat Lyral. Still good, baby. It's light. It's not quite as green as Lyral, but oh yeah, this stuff is super thick. 0.2 grams. All right. Okay. We blend this a little bit. We'll add some Nympheal, and then we will do a dip. Nympheal. Only a small amount, 0.04% of the concentrate is in Nympheal. This is Nympheal 10%. Most of the time, if I use this in a blend like this, or a 50 ml blend, or even a small, small test batch, usually I'm working at 1%. So, this is a reasonable amount. 0.5 grams. Let's see how much that kicks back. Okay, that will do. Let's blend this. We'll give it a dip. Okay, then we'll keep going. Let's dip. I'll tell you what, this is Jasmine, Muguet. This is blooming. Might not be a blooming bouquet right now. Do you say bouquet or bouquet? How do you say it? This might not be a bouquet right now, but it is blooming. I'm getting some light, airy, lily of the valley like throw off of this right now. It smells very nice, but very neutral. Clean, neutral, light, and airy. Next up, the rosy materials. Let's get it done. We're going to start with Damascenone. Definitely rich fruit, floral. This is at 10%. This is like a very rich, dark apple skin combined with a little bit of plum. It's a base note. This stuff lasts for a very long time. And it certainly, with a neutral fragrance, this can really add a lot of fruity personality. So if you have a formula that you're working on and you're just thinking, man, this is missing some fruity body, well, look no further than Damascenone or a Damascone. That will also work. It'll be a slightly different fruit note with Damascone Alpha, Damascone Beta. They might be more of a light apple, less dark plum, but still very rich and wonderful. Next up, ethyl linalool. There I go again. Linalool. I don't think we ever got clarity, or I never got clarity on how the pros say this. Linalool? 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 Neat, we need 0.625 grams. That's a fair bit. It's a fair bit. It's about 5% of the concentrate. And ethyl linalool, funny enough, it's a lot like linalool. It's floral, a little fruity, fresh. I'd say I still get metallic, a touch metallic. And as I smell this, I get a powderiness. I'm starting to connect a powdery note to this. And something about that ethyl group just seems to amplify, just a bit, amplify the smell itself. In the same way, ethyl vanillin seems to be somehow a stronger, slightly sweeter, but stronger version of vanillin. Ethyl linalool just, it's a little bit more. Still doesn't last long on a strip or on your skin for that matter, but it's wonderful. Helps with that opening freshness. Next we have phenylethyl alcohol, 0.125 grams, neat. And this is the soft, smooth core of a rose. Oh, overdid it. That's okay. That's okay. I maybe did, what, 20% over? But that's okay. We're within a realm of appropriate, appropriate amounts. Next, let's do our Rose Auto. I'm using, well, I think this calls for Rose from Isparta. Oh no, this calls for Bulgarian Rose. Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you a secret. I'm not using Bulgarian Rose today. I've got plenty of Bulgarian Rose, but right now I'm using a Turkish Rose Auto. The differences are subtle. I don't think I'm going to notice a huge difference. I'm going to get rose in my fragrance, which is what I want. But I'm using this because I kind of want to get rid of it. Not that it's bad. I just, look at that. Look at all these. All right. I have redundancies where I've got Turkish rose, Bulgarian rose. I've got another Turkish rose or a Bulgarian rose that's from like a specific part of Bulgaria. I just need to narrow it down to one rose and call it good. So I'm trying to use through some of these other materials that I don't use as often. So I'm using Turkish rose today. But the formula calls for Bulgarian rose, 0.75 grams at 10% is what I'm doing for this batch. Perfect. Let's keep going. We're going to move into the violet notes. We have two ionones, beta ionone and methyl ionone gamma. Beta ionone, 0.175 grams neat. If you only have methyl ionone gamma, just use that. Just double up on it. It's no biggie. If you only have ionone beta, no worries. I think you can get away, however, with just using Iralia, isoraldine. That would be fine for both of these. Again, you might change the nuances, the subtleties, but the core is going to be there. The purpose of the ionones, you will fulfill that purpose really with any of them. Methyl ionone gamma, 0.1 grams neat. This is also known as isomethyl ionone. Okay, that's close enough. I'll give it a little one of these. And then we've got three more materials. We're going to do some fruity notes. Okay, we're going to do some fruity notes and then a lactonic note. Let's start with the lactone. We have gamma undecalactone, otherwise known as aldehyde C14, so-called peach aldehyde, even though it's not an aldehyde. 0.25 grams at 1%, so very, very little. Next up, we have gamma decalactone. The same amount, it's either 0.25 grams at 1% or 0.025 grams at 10%. Smells very similar to gamma undecalactone. If you don't have gamma decalactone, just double up on the aldehyde C14. If you're a beginning perfumer, DIY perfumer, you should have gamma undecalactone or aldehyde C14. It's a ubiquitous material. You should really have that one. Gamma decalactone, again, it's here for a little nuance and maybe a little color. It won't be a game changer in your formula if you just use double the amount of aldehyde C14. Next, Verdox HC. This is great. It's like Verdox, just a little more. Just a little more Verdox. 0.038 grams at 10%. It's about 3 drops, I think. Yeah, that will do. That will do. Okay. Gosh, I'm starting to muddy my materials here. I should have mixed that. Let's do that. Let's blend. We'll dip because we just finished our floral notes. All right. Let's get into a fragrance family, a category I just get more and more excited about, the green notes. Let's write number 3 in rose here. Great. Green notes. Let's do it. Not only do these add color, sometimes they add projection. They add projection with a color. Like if you were to use methyl octene carbonate, for example, or folium, that gives you some presence in the fragrance. But it also it tilts the fragrance in a green direction. So let's do our cyclogalbanate. A green, watery galbanum note. 0.125 grams at 10%. This stuff is relatively strong. When I see it in fragrances, most of the time for most of these materials, when I see them in fragrances, they are in small amounts. Next, cis-3-hexanol. 0.875 grams at 1%. All right. Keeping it going, cis-3-hexanol salicylate. There's 10 times the amount here. So instead of 0.875 grams at 1%, it's 0.875 grams at 10%. Okay, next, styrolyl acetate. Definitely green. Whew. I'm getting more and more whiffs of the bloom here. Okay, styrolyl acetate, definitely green. 0.125 grams. Okay, at 10%. Wonderful. And finally, we've got some triplau. Same amount as styrolyl acetate. Triplau is much more, what's the word, waxy. 0.125 at 10%. Also quite strong. Triplau, oftentimes I'm using it when I'm doing test batches at 1%. It can be a little overpowering. Every time I use one of these, it's almost 2 pennies, 2 cents. And I need to remember to just keep it in here. Okay, let me keep that in there. That'll be my stirring pipette. We've got 2 more groups. Let's dip. This is number 4, and this is green. All right. Need to open up a window, but my kids are playing outside, so it's loud out there. But it's starting to, it's blooming. It is blooming. Next, we're going to do the ozonic notes, and you know what? We're just going to do this in one more go. We're going to do the citrus notes as well. So let's do the Cologne. This is strong. 10%. I'm interested to see what what effect this has on the formula is 0.05% of the formula. I always want to see, can I smell the cologne? 0.063 grams at 10%. Wonderful. Next, we're going to add its cousin, Hedione. Much more of this, and neat. 1.14% of the concentrate is in Hedione. We need 0.138 grams, neat. That's a heavy material, just sinks right to the bottom. Okay. Last two, friends, we're almost done. Green mandarin. 0.625 grams at 10%. If you don't have green mandarin, just use lemon. Might be a little different, but whatever. Okay, last but not least, bergamot. I'm using bergamot 51.75 grams. Okay. Friends, that's it. Let's give it a mix. We'll give it a dip. Then we will give it an evaluation. All right. This will be the final. And let's smell. Remember, we're going to compare it to the original. You know what? Why don't I spray this original? I'll let it sit, let it air out, so we can do a good comparison. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's start with the base. This was the musk, the animalic notes, and all of the Hedione. And the Hedione is dominating. But the animalic notes, the muscanone, the ambrexol, those animalic notes are really contributing a beautiful warmth in conjunction with the other musk notes that we added, the Tonalide, the ethylene brassylate, and the Galaxolide. I will maintain, if you don't have ambrexol, Fixateur 404, you'll be fine with Fixateur 505. I think you'd be just fine with a deer musk note. At this level, I don't think you're going to ruin this at all. This is wonderful. The base, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Very neutral, very light, airy. Second, we added the rest of the jasmine and the lily of the valley notes. Oh, ooh, this just richens it. It fills it out. I know we've got the Lyral, the floral, the Nympheal, hexylcinnamaldehyde. Don't forget the benzosalicylate and benzyl acetate. All of it still a beautiful, beautiful blend. Wow. Wow, it's just clean, it's light, it's wonderful. What I should have done is put the Hedione or the Hedione and Cologne at this point, because we have this clear, airy, light base, beautiful base, and we've just added another layer of light florals on top of it, which just, it accentuates that beauty. And then if we add yet another facet of keeping things light, vis-a-vis Hedione and Cologne, I'd be interested to smell what that's like. But we took a different direction. We do the rose notes and the methyl ionones and the few fruit notes. Wow. This is the most beautiful rose. It's still light, so refreshing without being soapy. This is absolutely wonderful. It definitely adds rose, I can see how the methyl ionones, adding the ionones, don't take it into a violet direction. It just provides more boost to the rosy florals. Now, what happens when we add the green notes, the cyclogalbanate, the cis-3-hexanol, cis-3-hexanol salicylate, the triple and the styrylyl acetate? It blows my mind. This strip 3 with the base, the jasmine, lily of the valley, and the rosy florals, the couple of sweet notes. This is wonderful. Strip 4 with the green notes. This is beautiful. Absolutely amazing. The nuance and the color that these green notes add to our rose accord, level up. We've added 90% of the material, 95% of the material in the formula, and we've reached a beautiful, beautiful spot. And with just an accord of 5 materials totaling like 1.2% of the concentrate, we have taken our juice that is, 80% of the way there or 90% of the way there, and we've taken it to 95%. We've just really increased the quality. All that to say, strip 4 is fantastic. This little green accord, what it does to that jasmine, lily of the valley, and rose accord underneath is awesome. Now, last but not least, we added the Hedione and the Cologne. So let's see what that does. Oh, and the bergamot and the mandarin. Don't forget that. Yeah, this is just like a nice finish. Interesting, bergamot is over 7% of the concentrate. And you can smell it, but this is going to be gone very quickly. It's bright, it's lively, but it doesn't change the beauty underneath it. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Let's smell the original. Let me reset my nose. Okay. Very close. Very close. This has a subtle richness. Very subtle. As if, this could be a maturity thing. This is brand new. This is brand new. The bergamot's still hot. If I was to spray this 2 months from now, those top notes would settle a little bit. What's coming through a little bit more here, I'm not getting the bright limonene and the linolyl acetate from the citrus notes. I'm getting more of actually that rich green core. Yeah, but beautiful. The original, beautiful. Good job, Louise Turner. Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. And good job, Fraterworks. This is a good one. This is a great study. I'm going to bottle this. I'm going to perhaps even wear it because, why not? It's a nice rose fragrance. This does lean feminine in that it doesn't have those stereotypical, dark, masculine, wood, leather, those kind of notes. It's very light, airy, fun, but that smells great. I'm going to bottle this up and let it mature. This is a great formula to study. I think because it's so simple, and it's also a good study on ratios. What's the ratio of the jasmine notes to the rose notes to the violet to the sweet notes to the green notes to the animalics and musks to the, it's just a great study. And I think what would be very fun here is swapping out some of these. What happens if I use geranium instead of rose? Or what happens if I don't use Galaxolide, but I use Tonalide? That kind of thing. What happens if I do 1-for-1 swaps? Can I push this in a new direction? That would be a fun exercise. In any case, thank you for joining me. I love the support. If you want to check out the fragrances that I've released under my brand, Ryan Parfums, just go to ryanparfums.com and check it out. A few of the fragrances there are only going to be available during phase 1 of this launch. As we move into phase 2 and have more original, purely from start to finish original fragrances, I'll be discontinuing some of the current iterations. So get them while you can. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you soon.